All right, we are ready to go. Our live stream is up, chat is up as well. Let's jump back on. Try our Zoom. We can prepare to go to our classroom. All right, so with today's class, as we begin to get started, I want you guys to take a moment to pull a motivation, pull a quote out. I need you to do a quote. I am going to start. If you could take your phones or devices out, let's prepare a motivation as if we were going into a classroom. So the teacher set the tone. Let's look at our motivations. I'm going to do one, and we're going to do motivation as something like an icebreaker. Then we'll move on to another icebreaker. It says, the duties of a teacher are neither few nor small, but they elevate the mind and give energy to the character. And so it says the duties of a teacher are neither few nor small, but they elevate the mind and we give energy to the character. Um, and when I looked at that sometimes our students are just where they are. They're just at a certain place. But we come in and we give power, we give energy, momentum to where they are, and then they go off. It's just like when they hit the gun and is ready, set, go. That's what we do to the learning capability of a student. I never understood why people would say you're only going to be this or you're not going to be that, because a big part of whatever they're produced is who was the one doing the teaching. And so if you're coming into a place ready to roll and you just take people for where they are, not try to start them way on 1000, but take them where they are and then you take them up, you elevate the learning, elevate their expectancy. I think you will produce an amazing, amazing learner. And we don't have to elevate them so far and carry them throughout their life. You're only elevating them to get to the next point of learning. And so that next teacher picks up and goes to the next one. Then the next teacher picks up. Most of the time, when we're in adult systems, and they may have modules or phases, phase one or module one is always considered like the foundation. That is the beginning. Most students will remember their first cosmetology teacher because that first cosmetology teacher set the foundation. They come in from all different walks, all different levels of what they know. And then the foundation teacher sets the mark and starts to bring everybody up. By the time they go to the next phase, as a teacher that may have been in that next phase, I'm already knowing what I need to work with. They got to be here. And I communicate that to my other coworker, and we would communicate together. They need to know this before they get to my classroom. That way, we don't have to go back. We don't have people different. Everybody's going up. And so that makes a great team. A great team makes great teamwork. And we produce some amazing, amazing beauty professionals. That has always been my thing, not just to be over here and elevate by myself, but take the students where they are, elevate them, and just prepare them for where they're going. We give momentum and energy to where they are going. And so that's always a great task to have. By the time they get to the last teacher before they graduate, they are way further than where they were when they first started. Sometimes we can go back and they can say, I'm a long way from where I were. So our job is to elevate, become that engine that pushes them to the next level. So that was my motivational moment for this morning. And for this afternoon, I've been in class all day. If I was in a class, I catered it to the people I'm in the class with. So I'm in the classroom with teachers. So I chose something that would reference teachers. And so that's one thing too, the motivation not being too deep and not being too surface level. It can cause some thinking points. After I would do the motivation or even put it on the board, I would have a student who wants to volunteer to read the motivation. That gets them moving. Someone volunteers. I say, okay, I need 2 people to give me their breakdown of the motivation. What do you think about the quote? Gives them an opportunity to voice their opinions. And we're just building conversation. In communication and building conversation, especially if they are in the front of the class, you're building energy and you're building that momentum of how the class is going to go the rest of the day. And when I say building that energy, if you're standing in the front of the class, and I get this from platform archery, standing in front of the class, you want the seats filled in the front first, because that you kind of pull off of each other. Okay. And when pulling off of each other, you will have 1 or 2 people that who would normally not say anything have opinions. And so a lot of times I would start my mornings off by letting the students do the breakdown of the motivations, and we will build interactive conversation. And I love an interactive lesson because that means I talk, student talk, I talk, student talk, and we are answering questions and going back and forth with topics until we reach our point that we're supposed to be at that day. So that's how we will start the class. When I'm not doing the motivation, I will tell a student the night before, prepare for the motivation, and I will have a backup student. So it'd be like 2 people ready to do the motivation. And I would switch that around for about a week or maybe a whole month, because the students wanted to share, their revelation, their notes, their quotes, their scripture, whatever. I just don't leave it as, one thing. And although I am a believer, I don't force Christ on anybody, just like I wouldn't want anybody to force Buddhism or anything on me. Religion is great, it's amazing, but I do believe that it's a space for it, and there will be opportunity where that space opens up, okay, for you to share. But I don't, allow the students what speaks to them. I allow them to, that's how I want them to participate. So it's there. And because that's a thing too with classrooms. So I'm not gonna do 30 days of scriptures. I'm not trying to be an evangelist in my classroom, but I'm trying to help soften my students. And some mornings they need the scripture, and some mornings they don't. Okay. Because as we continue to evolve and learn about each other, you learn who mentally is ready for certain information. And so that's one thing as an educator I always take away, and I'm always observing who's ready to go to the next level, who can handle such information and have conversation about it, and who just has a level of immaturity. They're just not there yet. And so that's what I would do as my morning motivations. Ziegler, um, I would Google a lot of my motivation depending on what I wanted the students to do. Whether it's perseverance, whether it is, and this perseverance goes with never giving up, cheerful, something motivating, something inspiring. There's so many different types of inspirations that you can pull from, and that's what I would do. And my lesson plan will have a new one every day. So, do anybody have a favorite quote that you would use to open up your classroom, or how would you open up your classroom, Miss Hill or Miss Edwards, with your motivation? How would you do it?
One of my favorite quotes is when you feel like you've reached the end of life's rope, tie a knot in it and hold on. And then I would explain that. But this one I just found here, just more so geared towards like a professional or students. Something like small improvements every day equals a big glow up. because I do believe that, the more you apply yourself daily, even if it's something small, those small things, they become something big, and you end up accomplishing your goal. So
I
I
love
like those two.
I love that. How would we bring the students in on that? Would you, if you went in and explained that, would you ask them any comments? Would you want
Yeah,
to hear feedback from
I would probably want to know, like, if anyone would want to share maybe like a time where they may have like focused on something, or was consistent with something for a short amount of time and ended up getting a big result out of it.
that would be good. And you know what that does too? That allows them to see you. It softens, even though they know you the authoritarian, um, it just kind of makes you more relatable. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not thinking principal, teacher, mean person all the time, or I don't like using the word boss, BOSS. And people
Mm-hmm.
say that to some people, it was a phrase for a minute, boss. But when it comes to business and when you have co-workers, I don't like to use the term boss because boss like it's dictating. And I'm in there with you. So we're looking at, I like the word leaders are going to build other leaders, but bosses is like you're telling people what to do. And then you have to remember you're telling people what to do, but you're not also giving any insights or resolution. You're just playing the boss. And we're dealing with adults, whether we work with them or the ones who are in our classroom. So we have to, just have levels of respect because some things could be triggering to some people. So that's good. I like that. We definitely want to bring them in. What about you, Miss Hill? What do you have?
I like one that I use daily is as a reminder, and it is I embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. I grow stronger from them. And that just lets me know that even if I feel like, I failed here today or I didn't do this right, it's a learning experience. And I would constantly remind my students of that, because so many times that's when we want to give up because we feel like we can't do something. So you're constantly saying this is where you're learning, and it's okay to fall. You just get back up and keep going.
That's it. That's it. And that really helps someone, especially if they want to be perfect or they want everything to be perfect. And just I would also just say, hey, who's been there? Just to kind of let the student know, hey, I'm right there. I've been there. We could
And
go
I have
story
to
for
do
story.
that for me because I'm one of them people that I like it to get right the first time. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
I'm having to constantly remind myself that it's okay, even with failing a test. It's okay to take it again. When you
Yeah,
go back again, now you know more. But it's hard when you want to get it right the first time. So that's why I have to remind myself of that. And with me with students, I would like for my students every day someone come in with a motivational quote or what they want to say, just to kind of set the tone for the class that day.
yeah, you would be amazing. It is. Here's what I had to understand. I was a program director. I don't know, you guys remember Vatterott Career Colleges. They were around when Remington was big, but Vatterott Career Colleges was in multiple states. And even from a director point of view, a teacher point of view, this is what I learned. We were in the Whitehaven area. Miss Edwards, you're local, right?
Yes, I was gonna say you were my instructor, Miss Cox, at one of those point in times about 17 years ago. And I do remember the things, just you in general. You definitely did make an impact on my life. I remember you. You were amazing instructor, but yeah, you were
Yeah,
one
Miss
of my
Edwards, I'm
instructors.
gonna cry.
You were. I think it was like my son's 17 and it was right before I had him. So were you there 17 years ago? I believe that was you,
Oh,
girl. Yes, ma'am.
oh wow, we look good, don't we, Miss Erica? We look good,
Yes,
so we just
ma'am, we do. But yep, I was there.
That's good. That's good. I learned something. I'm thankful for that. Thank you. I
Mhm.
learned something there. Before you even teach anybody, y'all, I learned that these institutions, the larger institutions, not so much the smaller ones, they will come into a city because they look at poverty rates. Did y'all know that these major institutions, especially the ones getting a lot of financial aid, they don't do that now as far as a lot of financial aid, but they will look at poverty rates, and they looked at poverty rates of this particular neighborhood, and I can say it, Whitehaven, and notice the head of households. Notice that there were not a lot of high school graduates. And if they did graduate, they did not go to college. That's a lot of information, right? So just say you got this big corporate company in St. Louis that's saying, where are we going to put our next school? And they said, go, let's go to the demographics. Let's find the poor. All right. And let's see what's going on. So what happens when those schools go to that area, they search out, they say, okay, this is decent enough. We're going to run campaigns about new careers, moving on in life, new careers. And so they found that coming across their screens were motivating the people, and people would say, hey, I should go to school. It's right here in our neighborhood. I should go to school. And I was just on a meeting with someone who's training me about accreditation. And we looked at something that President Trump just signed, included in a big, beautiful bill. And cosmetology is at the bottom of the list. And it's at the top of the list. Well, they're about to reduce funding for these vocational cosmetology schools because the cosmetology schools, the students are saying, we went to school, but we can't afford to pay back our loan because we didn't get taught anything, or there are no jobs that would pay us enough to pay the loan off. So basically, we went to school for this high amount without any literacy, financial literacy education. And all of this money was drawn out, and we're not making that kind of money to repay. And so that's really a big thing that's under the radar that people are not even talking about. And I go back to the Vatarock situation. No way should we have had a $27,000 well, let me say a $30,000 medical assistant. And I know that for a fact because my sister, no way should we have paid $30,000 for a medical assistant program. We could have went to a nursing school. And then for those same people to say they went and tried to get a job and their job is minimum wage, was still literally minimum wage here now. So they can't even afford to pay back the loan. So it has to kind of match. And I looked at a school in Georgia, the maximum tuition that they could receive off of a student was $32,000 for a cosmetology program. For a student coming out of school, as a teacher, you're charged with making sure that student can pay back their loan without even saying anything. So we have to teach them not only the book, but we have to go a little further and add different things in our curriculum to make sure they're ready when they leave here so they can do the stuff to make the money to pay back the program. And sometimes what I've learned is my students, I had some that couldn't read. I had some that came for just financial gain, which was somebody in the office told them they were going to get a check, or somebody came to their prison, did a presentation and told them, don't worry about working. You come to our school, you're going to make sure you get a check, you know? And so, oh, you don't have to worry about probation. We're going to sign that for you. It was a lot. So we have different walks of people coming in. They need a motivation. And what we're charged with is making sure that what we're giving every day has a value that they can use to pay back whatever it took for them to get to the class. And so I'm looking at a lot of schools now, and a lot of individuals are just saying they can't afford it. And even though whether it's true or not, that's not my business, but you have to look at the value of the education they're getting. Are we putting forward enough to make sure that student can survive? And they are saying in cosmetology, it's a no. And I would share that with you guys. Let's see if I can email it to myself and share that list with you guys. They're saying it's a no. So with everything we're putting out and we're putting in, we have to make sure that in the lesson we body something that's going to touch that student, that's going to motivate them, not only finish the program, to take the test, not only to take the test, but go to work and provide them with skills and even after school resources so they can make the money to change a lifestyle. And what was it? We adopted a new quote, and it's a Bible scripture, but we adopted a quote, and it's blessed going in and blessed going out. So we say that now for students who are new students coming in, you're blessed coming in. For new students going out, you're blessed going out. And I want to make that like our motto. I want them to really register that with our motto. And remember your first day. And then now, remember everything you went through. Take a whole glance of when you get ready to leave. That has students remember who you are. And I ask individuals 20, 30 years down the line, what will a student say about you? What will a student say about you? You know, and that's where you hear the crickets. Because when they had the opportunity, they didn't, or they had the opportunity and they excelled. That's what they're going to remember about you. It's going to be no middle ground. It's either going to be yay or nay. But those are components we have to always think about. Okay. So let's look at, we know we have the motivation, we have that. Sometimes the student who is the busiest or the talkative in the classroom, I would give this job to. Anyone know why?
It's their time to shine. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do what they do best.
You know what? I would give them, let's see. I would give them this because if you want to walk, or you're going to walk around talking and be disruptive, I'm going to give you something to do. You really just need something to do. You know, I used to have the you in charge, when I leave you in charge, that type of person. I would have that person in charge of either cleaning, sanitation at the end of the day, or they would get the day started. They would get the day started because I'm going to have you engaged. I'm not going to be policing you like a little kid or one of my little coworkers. We won't do that, but I would get that person busy and get them moving. And eventually that person is going, you'll see some things build up in that particular person because they have something to do. They have responsibility. And if they are well liked in school, like a very likable person, I put them in charge of the cleaning. They don't have to do the work, but they do the assignments, or the teacher do the assignments, and they have to walk around and mark off and ensure that everything get done. Now I tell them, hey, if it don't get done, it's on you. You got to do it. So you got to make sure your team works. And I would just sit back, and how they would have left it any old way, they get the cleaning because their friend can talk to them in a way I can't talk to them. And they know to get it done for their friend because their friend is like, nah, friend, you got to go back and do that again and do it right because I'm not doing your work. So that's always a way too, in the end, to talk about leadership, encouragement, and not micromanaging, you know, adults in that factor. So yeah, you're right. Whatever you need to do to get it going, that's what we're gonna do. Let's move over to, we got a few minutes for each one of these, but I want to go into 7, and I want to ask y'all about y'all questions. How well did you do?
We didn't even start on mine because I really wanted to go through chapter 7 and 8.
Let's do it.
8 and 9 before I, started doing my questions first. So
Okay, let's do it. Okay. I
Mhm.
wanted to look into 7 with effective presentations. Now, who can admit that, hey, I have had points? Love you. My little niece. Who can admit that when they called your name, maybe to come to the front, you always had butterflies, or you were just like, oh my goodness, I don't want to speak in front of a lot of people. Has that been anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I still get butterflies, especially at church. Like I do this. I'm a teacher. I am walking. My pastor said, if it works in the natural, it definitely can work in the spiritual. So I'm a teacher, and I have Bible study babies that are grown, married with kids, but they still my Bible study babies. And I can teach that all day long. But if I have to go like give a message, I'm like, okay, look, Lord, you with me? 10 minutes and we down. Oh, can we do this? I'm negotiating how long I am. So it's certain types of motivations. I'm like, yeah. And I had to do a class one time. My head was it was hurting. I was in Atlanta. It was hurting. And my team was like, I don't know how we're going to make it. But when they introduced me, it's like something just popped on. And I could see my team member when I walked out of the class, she was like, how did you do that? Because I just saw you told me your head was banging and you never had a migraine like that before. I said, yeah, but the job had to get done. I don't know how I popped out of it, but it did. I knew I needed some rest afterwards, but it did. Butterflies are good, y'all. Butterflies are good. It keeps you humble. And a lot of times I will have to make a run, and it's maybe too much information, to the ladies' room before I do any kind of big speech. It's just butterflies are good. I don't want to hear any water. I want to hear instrumental or worship music, or I want to hear something fun like some salsa or just some fun music. Mary J. Blige is one I put on because it just gives you a vibe. And Charlie Wilson is one I'll put on. It just gives you a vibe. So certain music will wake you up and say, okay, I gotta go. And one thing I remember, I said, hey, if you have if you're inspired by Christ or whatever you're inspired by, let that lead you and give you some peace before you go to the stage. So for me, it is okay. I know the world is mine. I just got to go through this right here. I know the world is mine. That's my personal motivation to myself. And when I walked in my first classroom, as they gave me a classroom as a teacher in a beauty school, I said, I was always a shy student. I said, okay, I really want this. I'm going to have to compartmentalize. And I literally said that everything else is going on in life, I'm going to have to set it outside, and I'm going to have to show up for who these students need. They need someone to show up for them. And I was 19 years old, saying that I'm going to compartmentalize everything in my life and I'm going to show up for these students. And I did. I did. And it taught me a lot, that 19 to 20 year. It taught me a lot. I almost could have stopped teaching, but it never came as a thought to stop teaching. It was just the beginning. So I fell in love with it. What helped me was the preparation. We're talking about lesson plans, but the preparation was to go ahead of my students. So always being 1 to 2 chapters ahead of them. So it meant some homework, some working at home before I would even come in. I understand that I am not a good student. I will fall asleep. I need to have some logical breakdown. Okay. I like colors. I don't like it to be cold. I like it to be cozy. Cold temperature will pause the thinking process of your learners. So when you come into the classroom, please make sure that your classroom is comfortable. It's warm. If you need a blanket, they need a blanket. And for 30 minutes, they're going to talk about how cold it is. Okay. So you make sure it's comfortable. All right. So when we look at effective presentation, making sure what we're using, our technology works. You're using projectors, PowerPoints, whiteboard, it works. Okay. And you have to make sure that you're presenting this information more than one way. Remember, they have the book. So we got to give it to them a whole lot of more ways. And we do that based on that learning style. Let's look at this concept here. Preparing an effective presentation allows you to navigate around the mental roadblocks that may exist in your students. These roadblocks will stop them from learning. And honestly, students have so much going on at home, and they come to your class. And when I tell you, it never phases me that students will say, why we got to be out of school? It's a holiday. Why we got to be out of school? I said, ain't nobody going to be at school on Christmas, baby. Ain't nobody going to be at school on Thanksgiving. But I had students to say, why do we have to be out of school? I'm going to miss being in, I come to school to get away from home. I'm like, what? But that is the reality of some people. The peace, the thinking space, a place to be themselves is at school away from home. Or it could be away from kids, whatever. But I find that when we got them here, let's just do good by them, because this may be the only place of sanity that they may have, the only peace that they may have. And so a lot of times those things could be roadblocks. Can you guys name some roadblocks that students may have that may block them from learning? Before class even gets started, they walked in with a roadblock. Any examples? One
moment. If they are, I guess, a single parent and their mind is on kids, that can block them before they even get in learning.
That's a good one.
If they're dealing with some type of illness.
Hold on 1 minute, okay, guys? One moment. Hi, I'm sorry. All right, so what did you say? You were saying something, Ms. Hill, about the roadblocks?
Yeah, I was saying, like, if they are a parent dealing with children, their mind could be on that. If they going through something medically or financially, those are things that distract you, so you can even, open your mind to learn, because you're focused on some of those things right there.
You're right. And in their mind, of course, if you step in their shoes, that's more important, right?
Right.
Okay. We have those things. Those are top tier things. What about you, Ms. Edwards?
Just maybe time management, like not being able to manage their time, and like, being behind on work, or just not able to keep up with life plus school.
Okay. So it's almost like they're present, but their mind is in another place. And sometimes with those individuals, you may see that through frustrations. And sometimes when we doing our presentations, I just become also an educator of resources, which means it's always good to know somebody that knows somebody that that can help your students. And so when it comes to domestic violence, child abuse, or anything, I'm always like, there is a number somewhere you can call. There's a website, or one young lady was trying to find some housing for her. We found a couple of places that she could go. One young lady was trying to find food, and really the friend came up and we just all pitched in and brought groceries, you know? So
Yeah.
there are some roadblocks that come up. And so we have to be a little sensitive to those. And to me, for a student that's not saying anything, or a student that comes in frustrated, remember they came in like that. So it really don't have anything to do with what we have going on. So we don't take that personally. We still go out throughout our presentations, build it up, and that person continues to warm up and warm up. And it just may simply be it take them a little minute to warm up the people. You know, but I provide resources. So in your classroom, think of a place on the wall that you can, or have a bulletin board on the wall, and just be a wall of resources. You ain't got to bust nobody out, you ain't got to call nobody to the side, nothing. You can just have the resources on the wall. When I tell you, when you go back in that night, or that the end of the week, to look at the wall, that wall becomes a talking point. Phone numbers, cards are gone, brochures are gone, because you're helping them. Those resources are there. Every school also does not have counselors. Well, beauty schools mainly have counselors. But I want to tell educators, you're not just coming in to teach these days. You are their counselor. You are their confidant, their counselor. You are the one that they begin to trust first. And so we got to have some kind of resources in play. And I would maybe once a week talk about budgeting, um, money, making money, budgeting, and finding time for yourself. And you could be breaking down a lot of barriers just by adding that to your motivation, to call it gems or little nuggets, because they may not have anybody else pouring anything into them. So I always make it part of a closing summary, or just say a nugget. Let's talk about it. How does it affect you? Bring it somewhere around beauty, and just bundle it up. It's like a whole little package. But we have to minimize the roadblocks. We will see those roadblocks fall down. And some, we will not see those roadblocks fall down. We won't be able to save everybody. Now, when you feel like something is too big for you, that's when you go and call in, you tag team. You need another instructor. You need your director. You need your department head, whatever you want to call it. And then that person comes in and is supposed to give you some reinforcement as well. And you will find that some students are so overwhelmed, they will stop coming to school. So this is where the ultimate goal is to find them resources, but also get them back into the classroom. And so we have to deal with those mental roadblocks. And as an educator, hey, we have to build. And this is where like expertise come in, your time behind the chair, that you've worked and dealt with many people, you've picked up many things. And when you bring this into the classroom, it's like you've been doing this forever, because those experiences are now coming into another part of your life, and they're really showing up when people need the help. What I don't recommend is, you know, the baby method, and you become the mama, to adults all over again. And that has to be my thing. A student will call me mama, and I was like, hey, great, I love being inspiration to you, but I don't want to be called mama. I don't even have any kids myself, but I want to take the mama perspective out of the classroom. And because that perspective can, people can literally revert to being children, and it's like follow the leader type of thing. So I don't like the mama concepts, but we should definitely have resources available to them. When we look at desired performance goal, what do we want to get out of the presentation? We're going to go over create. And so, it could look like a lot of things that we want to get top 10 of this, top 10 elements, methods for using inspiring learner motivation. We just talked about motivation as well. And then when we have 5 methods used to strengthen the body or major content of a lesson, which means some people will, I have a little activity we're going to do, but some people will go just surface level. But remember, Gen Z, 80 to 90% of their learning is video based. And a lot of they learn video, they learn from phones, they're given the phones at birth. And so if you come in and you doing a phone, you don't really do YouTube, you don't really do Instagram or anything like that. The student is coming in a little more experienced than the instructor. And what we don't want is the student to feel like the instructor is not capable of being the instructor. So as an educator, instructor, master educator, our job is to go deeper in our lessons and find something and bring back to the table that's not surface level. And if that means sometimes having in-depth conversation and breaking down things, that's what that means. So when we talk about ways to strengthen a lesson, you're going to have to find resources that can support what you're saying. That strengthens the lesson. Okay. You could Google microlocks or you could search microlocks on YouTube and take like the 5th video. Where students will say, I've seen it already. It was in the top 5 videos. You got to search microlocks and I go to page 87 and look for a video, because a student 9 times out of 10, a learner is not going to go that far. So I need to go a little bit further where students would go, or if they're always going to YouTube, there has to be other resources. So that's why your friend list on social media should have somebody who specializes in everything you're going to teach. So when it gets to the micro lock, I can bring in Michelin from Florida. They don't know Michelin than a bag of rocks, okay? But they are really receptive to someone they don't know. Then this person is from another part of the United States. They're going to be quiet. They want to hear everything Miss Michelin from Florida got to say, okay? And so a lot of times I'll just pull that card out and I'll bring somebody on through a Zoom or through a FaceTime, and I just cut my FaceTime on and I say, hey to the class. And literally a person would come and greet the class through the FaceTime. That can be a way that you kind of break down some barriers, but I'm still facilitating, putting something new in front of the student. I'm strengthening my knowledge. All right, strengthening my knowledge. That means educators have to get some additional training. Okay, have to get some additional training. And so even if that's practical, and let me tell you, a cosmetology educator, if you're a cosmetology, you may be called to teach anything because it's under cosmetology. Esthetician educator, you may have it better because they're going to probably just put you in an aesthetics area, but you will be responsible for knowing everything in aesthetics, from the practical end to the theory end, no matter where you are. Cosmetology could be nails, it could be skincare, it could be hair, but you'll have to have this background in all of it because they brought you here to teach it. Okay. So that also, I tell people, you have to strengthen what you know when you're in these classrooms, because the students are searching and they're learning. They know a lot of stuff. So you're going to have to go a step further and strengthen what you know, just to make sure that when you bring it to the table, it's perceived as valuable. Okay, so I would explain how much it took for you to get here, how much the class cost, why was it so important for you to go here, why was it important for you to invest, is it tax deductible, and how much money it's going to make. So I always end things with how much money it's going to make, and that kind of makes sense to a lot of people at the end of the day. So, and remember, like I said with Vateract, these individuals had came in, they chose pretty much a demographic area that didn't have a whole lot of head of household or own homes, or they chose an area where they didn't have a lot of college. Those individuals would come in, be the first time college, going to college, first time completing high school, and these people would just charge so much money. It just didn't have the opportunity to even get established to afford to pay it back. And so students have to see some type of value in what you're giving them to justify what they're paying for. And so that has been the thing now in the last 5 to 10 years, 5 years, I would say, is the value that the educator brings to the team. So we're going to look at the 5 things that will strengthen the body. 6 methods used to facilitate transitions. When we talk about transitions, you moving from one part of the class, the lesson, to the next part, okay? So facilitate, that's you being the oral person, that's you being the speaker, they hear your voice mostly throughout the day. You are the leader, you are the line leader, the teacher, whatever that supervising role is. You facilitate how this class is going to flow today. Okay? If an educator gives up the facilitator role, that tells me that they have given up on the class. They've lost the confidence of running the classroom. An educator should never give up the facilitation of the class. You may say, Ms. Cox, what does that mean? The facilitator is the one that they would go to say, do you mind if I can go to the restroom? Do you mind? Oh, I have the answer. You know, facilitator is the one that looks set apart. And sometimes facilitators, when they don't know a lot of stuff, or when they're kind of timid and not sure that they are the facilitator of the classroom, they will pull back because they're people. They will pull back and they will let a student who seemingly thinks that they know everything go to the front of the line or continue to talk in a conversation for longer. And so it's almost like, yeah, I'm the teacher. But you can lose a class as well as being a teacher, because someone will come in more knowledgeable or present like they have more value than you have in your classroom. So as an educator, without being bossy, we have to remain the facilitator, remain the authority figure in the classroom. And so sometimes that means we have to tighten up a little bit. We're not going to be always the nice Miss Cox. You have to tighten up a little bit, but it's not to the point where there's a level of disrespect going either way in the classroom. So this is a pretty good chapter to talk about facilitating. How do you transition from one area to the next? Let me tell you, 50 minutes is like a max of teaching. Then there's a break. After the break, I can go into my practical, I can go into a study session, I can go into a video, or I can go back to lecture. You have to decide how that flow is going to go. Okay. Then you'll go another 40 minutes in something else. Q&A section, take a break. What are you going to do when you come back from the break? The facilitator is going to keep that flow. Okay. You're going to consistently keep that flow. That's what you're going to do as a facilitator. All right. 5 methods for varying the stimuli within a lesson. The stimuli is the eyes. All right. We have to vary the stimuli. Let me give you examples of how I would vary the stimuli. In this class right now, 1, the stimuli is varied because there's a screen that you can look at. 2, you have yellow, blue, and white that pops up off the screen. There's 2 things right there that vary the stimuli. 3rd is my voice. And so I may not be, when I tell you I'm not perfect, I'm always learning, but I'm learning that to pitch my voice higher in some ways to express and then to bring it down. And so varying the stimuli is like, you don't know where I'm finna come. As long as you know I'm not finna be this desired performance goals, list, 5 methods used to strengthen the body or major content of a lesson. I'm gone. If that was me on the other side, Miss Hill, I'm gone. I'm done. I'll make up a reason I gotta go, y'all. Because I can't do it. So we have to have this variation in voice tone, okay? Because that varies the stimuli, okay? It keeps us engaged. That's varying the stimuli. If we were in a classroom, the way I set my class up is going to cost me to vary the stimuli, okay? We know that if we cut the light off and we're watching video, everybody gonna go to sleep. But how do I vary the stimuli? I can decorate my class with color, or I can take one wall and have color and have that color represent whatever I think the class is. My voice, my tone in teaching, me walking around varies the stimuli. The music is going to vary the stimuli. Me having clappers, that are noise makers, that varies the stimuli. So a lot of you like, dang, Miss Cox, we got to teach. Know what we're teaching. Know where we're teaching, how we're teaching, but we also got to make sure that when we deliver the information, that it causes a person to be intrigued and they say, hey, we got it. All of that has to be done. This is why there's no such thing as a teacher saying, I'm going to wing it, or this is going to be my retirement plan because I know no. We can't wing it when you got all these things that all is happening all at the same time. Somebody's gonna lose something. The teacher's gonna lose something, the school's gonna lose something, or the student is going to lose something. Yes.
Oh, nothing. I hit the button.
Oh.
I hear you. I'm over here ad-libbing to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, we have to vary the stimuli, especially y'all, since we know we'll have some students that are visual, right? They can't wait to theory over with. They can't wait to theory over with. So you know what I'm gonna do? While I'm teaching, I'm gonna have that mannequin maybe in my hand, or that mannequin positioned in front of the class where they're supposed to be focused. And every now and then, I may go touch the mannequin. Whatever we're going over, I may stop and show them on the mannequin really quick and say, okay, let's get back to what we're doing. Now that visual person that needed just that little bit to stay tuned, they in there. We got them, okay? The rhythm person, the clappers, all right? I may give that person the clapper, or I may give the whole class the clapper. When I did my 16-hour training, those clappers, I'm here. I did that 16-hour training. I always just kind of decide where I want to do it. It's usually somewhere in a hotel room somewhere, or it may be in my garage. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have clappers. And every time someone gets something right, or we like it, I tell them, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. And take the latest trend, whether it's at clock that or whatever, have them do that in the camera. And they're like, yeah, I can't wait. My teacher said we can do this. You'll be like amazed at how excited they are to be engaged in the information. The only thing we got to do is show up. It sounds like a song and dance, but if we're really committed, we just got to show up. And it's just, we're delivering the information, but we're delivering the information where the student is not asleep. They're excited about coming to school because they think they're going to miss them if they don't. And they're learning something. And at the end of the day, for the Gen Z, I'm giving them a tip how to make money with it. Because Gen Z is going to be the wealthiest group of people in the United States. Right now, they got a lot of money. And a lot of them, we used to say, when I grow up, I'm gonna make $1 million. I want to do this when I grow up. No, they're making the millions now. At 14, 15, 16, 3, 5 with their YouTube pages. They're making the millions now. And they will lose the million and turn around and make it again. And they're different people, My young ladies that I've had, and I like to give light to my students and I share in their accolades. I say, you a bad girl, you a bad girl. I want you to keep going. I call them sometimes the boss, but I mean the boss as far as on top of your business. And I've seen a young lady go from 19 making six figures. I literally saw her account just by doing lash classes.
Mm.
This was what in pandemic doing lash classes. And then I seen another young lady now doing lash classes, but she was doing like body contouring, 19, 20 years old, making $250,000 a year,
Mm.
and she was like, oh yeah, it was a bad year. I didn't get my half meal I wanted, but you got close at 19. You got really close, so
Amazing.
yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of baby bosses that come into your classroom. So, and they have access to information. So we're gonna have to make sure we facilitate this on a rocket. Okay. You want to increase personal awareness of all learners. Hey, we always got to make sure they're good. Consider the psychological and physical needs of adult learners. Some of them need a little bit more. Okay. Some of them need a little bit less. Creates an environment for which learners become self-motivated. Yeah, we're going to give them motivation, but I will give them those tools and I'll put it back in their hands. What are you going to do with the information you learned today? How is that going to take you to the next level? And this is what I used to share with my Vatterrock students. I used to share this. I said, my goal is that when you came in, you were in one bracket, you were in one tax bracket, you were in one dimension of where you were. But when you leave, I'm gonna give you enough skills to just ball out of that racket. You will not be in the same place that you were when you came in. And I wanted to see them succeed. And because sometimes at graduation, when I saw some of the HVAC guys, there's a big, big graduation, they would cry on graduation. I literally saw, I'm the first one that ever graduated, Miss Cox. I'm the first one that ever graduated anything in my family. One of my students said, she went to jail at an early age. She was the first one to ever finish high school. She was the first one to ever finish any kind of program. And this is cosmetology. So I'm floored because I had a part of that. She'll always remember me because she was the first one that ever completed something. You know how that motivation is to her children now? How she can always carry that with her. And so that's something we always look at. How our learners are taking this home. And sometimes you got to reverse psychology on them. People are looking at you, you got to finish. We can't go back that way. What's back that way? So sometimes they take a little bit of motivation, but you have to bring them to the finish line. Okay. Creates an environment which learners become their self-motivated. They have to see why. And I use children as a why as well. Facilitate a learner-centered, discovery-oriented environment where we say, have you ever heard someone say, no question is a stupid question? You might have to say that. Ask your question. No question is a stupid question. Also, you may have to say, a mistake is just a discovery. So I would not trip even on mistakes because students are going to make mistakes. All right. And even on the cleaning floor, I tell the clients, hey, students are performing these services. Don't talk to my student the kind of way. You have to show up for your students. And your students have to know that you're going to show up for them. So that has been some of the things. So we make sure it's a learning center. Everything we pull back into learning. So if someone have an issue and you've seen it 3 or 4 times, yes, the class has a misconception of what you told them to do if you can see it 3 or 4 times. So you bring them back to the demo area and let's walk through this and find out what you guys are missing. Okay, so there's even lessons being learned on the clinic floor.
Yes.
Hey, Miss Brittany, how you doing?
Fine. How you doing?
Good. I'm gonna make you co-host. We're still in for just a few minutes, okay?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Hold on a moment. Y'all say hey to Miss Brittany's. Miss Brittany's our nail teacher.
Brittany,
Hey, how you doing?
good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
And I say she the best, she the best.
Thank you.
She's absolutely the best. And so when you look at communication, and also, you guys, let me tell you, Miss Brittany had, I still reference some teachers with her, how she did her test out when she wrote her lesson plans and things of that nature. So she is well qualified, and she knows how to put all of that together. So I'm just tooting your horn a little bit, Miss Brittany, just a little bit.
Yay.
Thank you.
So communication, when we dealing with communication, it's not all the time that the students have to listen to us. We got to also listen to them. Okay. And as a teacher, sometimes we got to ask ourselves, am I saying that right? Did you understand that? If someone is always saying, can you say that again? Like, we're not having basic conversation with our students, but we should have we should be communicate, listening to respond, not just cutting people off, but not just using words of our vocabulary, but trying to bring them. Remember, we elevate them, go where they are and bring them up. And so we got to make sure our communication is okay. Now, we communicate with our hands, we communicate with our body, we communicate with our stance. I'm not going to be standing there with a student and tell the student, okay, let me hear your side of the story. Then I stand there with my hands folded under my chest.
Mhm.
That is saying, I'm confrontational, I'm mad, or hurry up. I'm not going to do gestures for them to hurry up and speak. I'm not going to have a mean mug on my face. So we transmit communication just through our body language. So we have to make sure that the messages we send and receive, whether they're verbal or nonverbal, are still positive. All right. And have you anyone ever heard of, I gotta fix the look on my face? Yeah,
Mhm.
you like, I was so, sometimes I wore a mask, y'all, just because I needed to fix the look on my face. And especially I was teaching a waxing class, and I wore two masks. And one of my students, it was a full body waxing workshop, and one of my students was a guy. And of course, he got to learn like everybody else got to learn. He brought his own model. Okay. And I was like, this woman has not went and bathed today.
Oh my
Brought
God.
her right to school. And it was like 9 o'clock. The workshop was like 9 or 10 o'clock. And she got on the table. And he was like, of course, use my model for a demo. And I had that mask on. And I was like, you know what? This is a good time. And everybody you should have seen them scrambling to put their mask on. I don't know why they were putting it on, but they probably put it on the same way. Um, and I said, that was the laughing notion that I needed to work on my face a little bit more. I don't care how long I had been teaching, it would still show on my face. So I made sure I kept that mask on all day. So
Mhm.
and that was communicating with him too. It was a new learning experience, but he had to learn. He brought models. I don't know where he got them from, but every time he needed to bring a model, he had a model. Okay. And I walked past him and a teacher one time, and one of my other students, I walked past the class, and I don't know what stance the teacher was on, but she was holding one leg, the student was holding the other leg, and he was like he was delivering a baby or something. I don't even want to know what y'all doing. He had somebody that she was a heavyset girl, a real pretty young lady, but he could not hold her by himself. And I said, I don't know what y'all doing. I don't know what I just saw, but wrap it up. That was that communication of, okay, what's going on? Let's get it together. Was like, okay, we're gonna come back another day. So just having that form of communication where you all can laugh about it a little bit, not laughing at them, but just kind of soften ourselves a little bit for every situation. Let's look at create, and then we're going to um, go over, consider the topic. I looked at, let's use hair loss, guys. Hair loss. That's the topic, hair loss. So let's use hair loss on aesthetics. You can relate to it. Hair loss as a cosmetologist, you can relate to it, okay? Consider the topic. You're teaching hair loss, okay? Research the topic. Give me 3 places where you can find information about hair loss. 3 places, y'all, where we can find information about hair loss.
Google.
Google is one, yeah. And when you do,
ChatGPT.
and here's the thing, if you say Google, the website you finalize, record it, okay? Write it down because you want to send your students to the website.
Mm-hmm.
If you say ChatGPT, be prepared to share the prompt.
The prompt, okay.
Okay, that's 2 places. Where else?
Milady.
Yeah, their page. Be ready to show them and tell them what page you found it on. All right. Others research topic areas for those special educators that go above and beyond. I may find a trichology expert and do an interview. Okay. I make Dave Ray, Kai, so many Adrian Tapp, so many individuals, so many hairdressers now going back to become a trichologist, or hair loss experts. Okay. Tony Love. These are people I can reach out to that can become my experts in this field. So I will reach out for an expert. And examples for clarification, you may have to give the student 2 to 3 examples of hair loss. So if you were a cosmetologist talking cosmetology students, when we talk about hair loss, you can give 3 types of alopecia. Okay. And you could say totalis, where it's total, everything is off. Androgenetic, where due to stress, medication, or something. And another one, what's another one?
Lupus.
Lupus, yes. And we talk about male pattern baldness, but lupus, when it comes to disease and anything medical wise, that's research and clarification. Now you're adding depth to your course, because guess what? Your personal experience, they'll never get that from ChatGPT. They'll never get your personal experience from AI. So AI is just used as a tool, not a substitute for you. So I have to tell that a lot. It ain't going to replace your job, baby. It cannot replace experience. So that's why you have to bring experience, and it's always good. That's because you do everything. After 20-some, 30, almost 30 years, yeah, we've seen just about everything, okay? So bring that clarification in, and it gives you an opportunity to talk about it. If you brought in lupus, guess what? I would probably do the research. It's a percentage of people who have family, or if not themselves, that may be dealing with lupus that may sit in your classroom. Lupus that may sit in your classroom. If that is so, they know somebody. So now that conversation has started to evolve. They're interested, they're listening. And you can say, bring it back to cosmetology. How can you help those individuals that are going through this disease? Now you find them at home calling cousins and aunties and uncles who may be dealing with it and saying, I need you to do this. Are you doing that? Now they're concerned because they never would have thought medically that cosmetologists would connect with that. So now you just created a light bulb to go on. Analyze your learners. So as we're presenting the topic, we research, we're building, and this is the knowledge base, okay? And we're telling them how to go verify this the right information. Then we have examples of it for breakdown clarification. Then you analyze your learners. What are we doing at this point? What are we doing at this point? When you're analyzing the learners.
Like finding learning styles? I'm confused.
When you're analyzing the learners, sometimes you're just watching. how they receive
Oh, okay.
information.
Like literally, yeah.
Yeah. You're walking around, and I like to walk around and teach y'all. I'm a facilitator mainly. I like to
Mhm.
walk around and teach. And when the students, even though I have my lesson on the board and it'll be broken down by time, but I also leave space where if somebody has a question, it builds into another question, that somebody else may have. And so I get to answer that question and still reference and stay on track with what I'm going over. But analyze your learners. Sometimes people say, I see you got a question. I can see it on your head right now. Something's not adding up, So let's break that down. And that has been my thing since my first year of teaching. It's when I see a person stuck mentally and trying to figure it out, my job is to say, okay, slow it down. What part are you missing? What part is not clicking or you're understanding? Maybe I can help you or someone else can help So, and sometimes you will do a check and say, are we all good? Clap your hands. I know it's elementary, but guess what? They'll be ready to move on to the next thing. So guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna clap their hands. Or with adults, put a clapper in their hand, something that makes noise. If you're ready to move on and we can move on, everybody got this. Let me make some noise. And you'll find that these little bells, these little clappers, they'll be making noise, and that signifies that we all on the same page. Let's move on to the next one. All right. So you're analyzing your learners. Teach with poise. All right. Mr. Middle, I love him. If he hears this video, he know I'm not lying. He would not let me sit down and teach. And to this day, I do not like teachers when I don't like for my teachers to sit down and teach. I kind of like them like me. I like them to walk around, evaluate the classroom. The only time that a teacher should be sitting down is if we're having study table, and it's a round table. It's like a small group. Or like, hey, we're doing this manicure, something that requires us to be sitting. But he used to get on me so bad, I never really sat down no more. My feet would be hurt when I got home, but I never sat down anymore. And I don't really like the reading out of book per se, just simply because they have the book and we're dealing with a new group of people, so it's a different time. So not to say it don't work, but what's the purpose of them to have it at home? Give them a reading assignment for home, but when they come into your classroom, it's time to go to work. And so I don't like the reading out of the book to take up, like, it's filling space for something that we could be breaking down, we could be learning, and we always can be learning. So teach with poise. That means I am going to let everybody know I am the teacher. I'm going to stay in a respectful manner. I'm going to learn how to pronunciate my words that I don't know. I'm not going to make them up. Guess what? As a class, we can go to pronunciation. We can learn it together. You say it, I say it, let's say it together. ChatGPT, I had to use it yesterday as a translator. And so there are so many resources that we have. So language barriers is really not a barrier anymore because we have translators. Okay. So we're going to teach with poise and then enjoy and be enthusiastic. We bring the energy to the classroom. We bring the energy to the classroom. We come in sobbed down, low in spirit. Our class is also going to be sobbed down, low in spirit. So we have to bring that energy to the classroom. We also have to make sure that we watch our words and we don't set negative things off in our classroom, because that brings down the morale of the classroom. One thing you'll know that when you start working around individuals, especially if it's a team lead and they got other team members, that team follows that leader. Okay. And so even with your instructors, their students will start to mock the way that their instructor is. So if their instructor is negative, the whole classmate is going to be negative. So as a team, we all have to make sure that we enjoy the job that we do. Okay. And the students, they receive that, and we got to make it fun. It ain't got to be all books all the time, but we have to make it fun. We did the motivation this early part of the class just to see how well you will open up. Okay. And sometimes we can't go straight to the books. Sometimes we got to go with some fun. Okay. So if you a line dancer, if you love line dancing and it's fun, y'all, I would bring line dancing into my classroom and use it as a way to connect with the students and connect the lesson. What else is fun? Basketball. You know, what your favorite sport, bring your personality into the classroom to connect your students to the lesson. You have to bring, you know, whatever's making you look good and feel good, that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the powerful motivation: personal power. You control the classroom, but you also set the tone. Pride and importance. Take pride in your class. Why don't you make your class a mascot? We are the Eagles, and do a cheer. Whatever you need to do. Okay. They're supposed to be in your class for a set amount of time. You're responsible for them and making sure their knowledge base elevates to a new place. Financial security. Okay. This is where you may team up with the individuals in the community who maybe, you know, making the money. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
Will talk with my students that encourage them to stay in school.
Mm-hmm.
Approval and recognition. Guess what? The best bigger wave competition, or I got a first, second, third place. The one who came to school every day this week may get a prize. The student of the month gets the parking space. Some kind of approval and recognition just helps them along the way. It showcases that they ain't got to be the most outgoing student, but you see them. Okay. And then sense of belonging. Some people would say, this your class. No, it's our class. So it's just the way that we present ourselves to our classrooms and how we set the tone is going to be amazing. You want to have a desire to win. I want to see you succeed and move to the next level. Okay. Feeling of accomplishments. You know how those fingerways look before they got to the sixth phase. They've been there 60 weeks. You know how those fingerways look on their first day. Okay.
Not
New
60.
experiences. Introduce them to new experiences. Take them out of town, field trips, all kind of stuff. Give them freedom to speak. Create a safe space in the classroom. If somebody doesn't know how to do something, sometimes, and especially after a period of time, you may be discovering something that's there that they never said. And then self-esteem, love, emotional security, all of this we feel in our classrooms. Okay, so when it comes to our presentations, and of course talks about powerful openings, you can use quotes, videos, songs, music, mantras, vision board. You can even have a vision board class for your students. You want to know where their goals look like, things of that nature. And so I'm gonna let. Did you have some students? They're just now coming in. Are they in, Miss Brittany?
Miss Danica, excuse me, Miss Danica is, Andrea said she was gonna be a little late.
Okay. Hey, Danica, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Y'all say hello to Danica. She's one of our manicuring students.
Hey, Danica.
Hello.
Hey.
Danica is preparing to stay board in Mississippi, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, all right. I will actually see them on Thursday. I sent that email out. I actually see them on Thursday as some state board prep stuff. Let me know what area you're on, but I'm strictly gonna move into the state board RAM, and you can just kind of pick up from there. But I will meet
Okay.
them on Thursday, and they should check the email for that time. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Tomorrow, or when am I meeting with you guys again? Wednesday? I'm meeting with the instructors again on Wednesday. Okay. Um, We need to on Wednesday. We need to talk about powerful content and voice delivery. And so, voice delivery is. Ooh, hold on one moment. Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Miss Brittany. You guys could stay on and just watch if you want to, but she's gonna take the lead now over into her manicuring class. We'll meet back again on Wednesday. We want to pick up on voice and powerful content. The content is the structure of the lesson. Okay, so from problem solving, chronological structure, topical structure, spatial structure, and theory, just and practical, just how that structure looks like when we're teaching, and tone and vocabulary. Okay, so those are two things I want us to look at: tone of voice and the words that we choose when we're doing this lesson. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Miss Miss Brittany, and we're gonna close out our instructor class, and we'll be back on Wednesday. And then, guys, I will have nails again on Thursday if you want to jump in with me as well on Thursday night. Y'all have a great and amazing day. If you're gonna share your screen, Miss Brittany, I'm gonna stop sharing on my side. You're
Thank you.
you I'm gonna make you host, and then I'm gonna move out of your way because I know you got to get your students going. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You have a good night.
you have a blessed one too. Thank you guys for participating.
Thank you. Hey, Miss Danica, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Are you ready to get start preparing for your test? Are
Yeah.
you nervous or anything?
I don't think I'm really nervous,
Okay.
but I am a little scared.
What you scared of?
I don't know. I just second guess myself a lot when I like do tests and stuff.
Okay. Now this one thing you're gonna have to work on. Don't second guess yourself because when you get the second guessing, that's how you end up feeling.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut when you go in there. Um, just speaking from experience of me doing the testing twice, one for cosmetology and one for instructor, it is a little nerve wracking, going into it because you don't know what to really expect. You're hoping that the things on that test is things that you've been studying, but majority of the time it is. It's not as bad as we think it is. I always just say me a quick little prayer and then, just try my best. Hey, Miss Andrea, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was just talking to Miss Danica. I asked her about when she's ready to start preparing for her test. So I asked you as well. Are you ready to start preparing? Are you nervous or anything?
Yeah, I'm ready to start preparing, and I'm nervous. Yeah.
Okay. Same thing she said basically, which I was just telling her, speaking from experience of me taking the test twice, one for cosmetology, one for instructor. The theory portion is a multiple choice test. It's not as bad as we think it is. Like I was telling her, I just say me a quick prayer and you just go in and you try your best. Um, the good thing now is it's in when I just took the instructor's test theory portion, I was able to take it at home. But I did have a what do you call them? A proctor on screen with me watching to make sure that I'm not cheating or anything. They have to see everything around you, make sure there's no papers anywhere, no nothing wrote, nothing, So I was just in my living room at my nail table where nothing was around me or anything, because they're going to ask to see all of that, and then your test is timed. And you just do your test. And I also read for Mississippi, your results will be on the screen right after you take your test. So basically the same way as we had. Um uh so yeah, it's very normal to be nervous, but mostly everything that you study is going to be the same thing on the test. The content outline that we'll go over, those will be the things that'll be on the test. And the good thing for you guys, you don't have to do the practical part. You only have to do the theory and pass the theory. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they said that your passing score have to be 75. It's either 70 or 75% to pass. So once you get your score on the screen, letting you know that you pass, you'll officially be licensed, and you'll just fill out the papers to send out for your license and then mail it to you.
So we do it online?
Yes, it'll be online. Well, we'll go over that in a second. But if I'm not mistaken, I have to go and do a little research. I think that y'all can do it from home with a proctor as well. Ever since COVID, that's kind of how they've been doing it. But I have to double check for Mississippi. I know that's how Tennessee allow you to do it. I'm not sure if you guys have to actually go in the building, the testing center, or not. When I did my cosmetology test back in 2012, I had to actually go in the building. We didn't have options for doing it online over the computer. I mean, online at home or anything. So I had to go in the building and do it, and it was a little more nerve wracking, because you're not really comfortable like you would normally be if you're at home. Any other questions
No,
about testing or anything?
No, ma'am.
no, ma'am.
Okay, another question for you guys. Do you have any problem areas, like things that you think that we really need to go over to help for testing, as far as like I'll go over the content outline to tell you guys what be covered in the testing and stuff. But like, so I guess we could wait till the end and y'all could let me know like what areas we really need to like review, which we'll review everything, but ones that we really need to like review over for you guys, as far as like disorders, nail diseases, sanitation or anything like that. So, and also I'm going to send you guys the link for the website. I'm about to send it to y'all now. Well, actually, I just shared the screen, but I'll send it to y'all so y'all can go on there and you'll be able to see the study aid for the testing, which it'll just give you, the bulletin information. It'll give you everything that you need, the outline of what'll be on the test and all the things like that. So hold on one second, and then I'm gonna share my screen, letting you know everything about the testing, how it's gonna go, um, what to expect and stuff like that. So give me one second to get everything logged in. Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the website that you'll go to for Mississippi State Board. It looks like this. And go to the home page. It'll be like this. You to receive all type of updates, stay in the loop about everything considering, the Mississippi State Board, you could always go back to this website. Rules, regulations, any laws that's changing or anything, you will always find everything you need to know on the State Board website. So as it says, welcome to the Mississippi State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering. Even though you're doing a manicuring program, the whole thing is cosmetology and barbering. The mission of the Mississippi State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering is to regulate the instruction and practice of cosmetology, barbering, aesthetics, and nail technology, establish rules and regulations and procedures related to the qualifications for licensure, administer licensure examinations, set sanitation requirements for operation within schools and establishment, and set standards of practice for the benefit of the consumer and for the protection of the public's health and safety. Okay, and then you could just go on here later in your own time and look through all of this. Due to construction test visitors and test applicants. Okay. And then it gives you the number for the state board building, their email, and all of that. And then, if you have any questions and stuff. And then out here, you can apply for your license, renew your license. You can learn about the regulation changes here. You could view the board for approved continue education courses. Sorry, read the statutes and view board minutes. All of that on the website. And so, going into your exam, you will just click on examination, and it'll show you all the exams for that. And then you have to do the law and sanitation. And then you also have your theory part for the nail technology. And you'll just click on that and it'll take you to this page, which will show you everything. And then here you'll find your table of contents. So this website, this page will show you the candidate information bulletin, important instructions, which is general, standardized administration, prohibited items, your nail technology theory, examination, content outline, which what we're going to go over, and then it'll show you some sample questions as well. And then the National Interstate Council of State Boards of Cosmetology references, like pages you could go to reference back to this. So your candidate information bulletin, examination content, and important instructions. So instructions for taking your theory test. It say to please visit your official examination provider website, or which will be um this website, or you could click on this one. Let me see. Okay. National State Council State Board. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Let me see something. Okay. You ain't gonna let you. Okay. Hold on there. Okay, hold on, because let me make sure. Um, which one we really need to be looking at first. So hold on 1 second. Make sure I got the updated one. Nail technology. Okay, important description. Dear, dear. Okay. Let me make sure this is the up to date reference. Copyright 2025. Okay. And this one is the latest one that they have. Okay, I think that one is 2020. Could be to the other one. Okay. So I'm gonna send y'all this one as well. So you can reference both of them. Okay. Because we take in Tennessee, we do our test with PSI. Um, and y'all test is through NIC, which is the National Interstate Council of State Boards of Cosmetology. So you could visit this website for the most current bulletin prior to testing, which the candidate bulletin is what I was telling you about. That'll show everything that'll be outlined on your test and everything you need to know. So it says this bulletin contains important information regarding your theory examination content and references. This is the updated one. The time allowed for the examination is 90 minutes. For each theory exam, there are multiple parts to every candidate information bulletin. Important instructions and examination content domain sections. This provides information and guidelines related to administration of the theory examination and information about the scope of content covered in the examination. And then the references, this provides a list of references used to develop and support the content covered in NIC examinations. References will be the same for theory. You don't have to worry about the rest. Be certain to review all parts of the examination. See the bulletin carefully. So, general instructions is do not leave the examination area without permission. Permission must be obtained to leave the examination area for any reason, including restroom usage or at the completion of the examination. Picture ID is required for re-entry into the examination. All examinations are administered in a testing environment. Okay. Due to standardization of the NIC National Examination, proctors and examiners are required to adhere to the following standards. With the exception of verbal instructions, proctors and examination administration personnel are not allowed to speak with candidates. So you cannot talk to your proctors. If a candidate experiences an emergency situation, they may notify the proctor by raising their hand. Any questions or any emergencies or anything, just raise your hand and they'll come to you, come to you and see what you need. But anything about the testing or anything, they cannot help you with. Prohibited items that you cannot bring for your testing. You can't bring them in the room during your examination. Possession of your cell phone, watches of any kind, so no Apple watches, no phones, no pages, tablets, computers, projectors, camera, any other electronic recording devices, no printing material or handwritten notes. You can't have anything with you. Purses, bags, coats, hats, or any other personal items not directly needed to complete the examination is not allowed. You cannot communicate with the other candidates or the examiner or proctor. Disruptive behavior is not accepted. The above referenced items or actions are not an exhaustive list. They will send you out of there if you do not follow the rules. Failure to comply with any of these conditions or exhibiting any behavior that suggests any effort to cheat will result in an immediate dismissal from the examination and the candidate's actions reported to the proper authorities. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, these say the same thing. This is the updated one. Okay. Neo technology theory, this is your content outline. And just take notes of these things that I'm finna tell you because this is what you need to make sure that you're studying for the test. The following outlines the scope of content covered by the NIC exam. The percentages represent the percentage of items from each domain. The examination contains 110 items, of which 100 items are weighted and contribute to the candidate's final score. So your test contains 110 questions. 100 is weighted for your final score. It's contributed to your final score. So 10 of them is not contribute to your score. The first thing that you're going to need to study is the scientific concepts, which is infection control and the safety practices. You should know how to identify how disease and infection are caused and transmitted. Recognize and utilize infection control principles, the levels of infection control, and the process of infection control, like dispensing products, disposal of materials, the use of single and multi-use implements. You should know to apply blood exposure procedures, identify adverse reactions to products or services, recognize safe handling and storage of chemicals, utilize safety data sheets, which is SDS, identify ways to prevent work injuries. So just take note of these things right here so you can make sure you're studying those. There's going to be 15% of your score, the infection control and the safety practices. Let me know when y'all ready to move on.
Okay, I'm good.
Me too.
Okay. The next thing is going to be 15% of your score, the scientific concepts, the anatomy, and the physiology. Okay. So you should be able to identify the functions, parts, and the structure of the nail and the skin. Identify the functions and the structure like the bones, muscles, and the joints of the arms and the hands, the legs, and the feet. Recognize the signs, symptoms, and causes of disorders, diseases, and conditions of the nails and the skin. So, for the nails and the skin, you should be able to identify the functions, the parts, and the structure, and you should recognize the signs, symptoms, and the causes of disorders, diseases, and conditions. And then for the arms and the hands, the legs, and the feet, you should be able to identify the functions and the structure. Let me know when y'all ready to move on.
Ready.
Okay. The next part is going to be 10% of your score, the chemistry of the nail products. So you should be able to explain the purpose and effects of product ingredients, recognize interaction between chemicals, recognize physical changes, recognize chemical reactions, identify common ingredients that may cause harm. Let me know when y'all ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready.
Okay. And so this part will be 5% of your score. The nail technology procedures, the pre-service process. During your pre-service process, you should know the client consultation, which is identifying the elements of a client consultation and documentation. Analyze the condition of a client's nails and skin. Recognize the conditions that will prohibit a service, and determine the services or products. So for your pre-service process, the client consultation. The next thing on the pre-service will be the work area preparation, which will be the setup of your workstation area and perform client and practitioner sanitation. So your setup of your station and your sanitation will be your work area preparation. You need to know those things, the processes of that. Next will be, let me know when y'all ready to go.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. The next thing, the nail service tools, it'll be 13% of your grade. You should be able to identify the purpose and the function of your nail equipment, such as your e-file, pedicure basin, and all of that. Your implements, like your nail clippers, your nippers, your cuticle pusher, your nail supplies and materials, your nail products, and also follow practices for safe use of tools, supplies, and equipment. And that'll be 13%.
All right, I got that.
Okay.
Ready.
Okay. The next one is going to be 18%. It's the manicure and the pedicure services. Perform procedures for basic manicure and pedicure service. You should know the process of it: to trim and shape the nails, soak, critical maintenance, cleanse nails, buff nails. Demonstrate knowledge of basic massage procedures. You should know the names of the different massages, the types, the effects that it have. Safe application of massage manipulation. Remove the massage product, polish the nails, and completion of service. Remove it. So that'll be for your manicure and pedicure services. And make sure y'all definitely take note of the massage types: effleurage, petrissage, friction, and supplement, and that you know the different types of effects that it have, the mechanisms and stuff.
All right, got it.
Y'all both got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And also to perform procedures for add-on services like paraffin wax, exfoliate, and thermal like stones and hot towels. Next will be 20% of your grade. The perform an application, maintenance, and removal procedures for nail enhancement services, nail tip, acrylic, soft, hard, hybrid gels, and powder dip. Those should be studied for 20%. And then you have 4%, which is your post service procedures, your aftercare and client education, and your cleaning and disinfection.
All right, I got it.
Me
Okay.
too.
Okay. We kind of already went over these practice questions the last time I had asked y'all these same ones. Most of them. Okay. And then also the website is going to give you some references to the test material, which is basically your My Lady Standard book or whatever. You could go on there. Well, you could go in there to find everything. And so this all for your testing. And this what the website look like. So I'll be sending y'all that. Okay. And when you get ready to go take your test, you'll go on here and well, let me go back to the other one and I'll show you. Let me see where y'all at. Hmm. Okay, I'll show y'all that next week, or Miss Disney might show y'all how to go on there when you get ready to do that part. I don't know if you register and you have not received tomorrow permit. Um, on the patient's health schedule. Oh, I don't even see. Okay. So, do y'all have any questions about anything pertaining to what'll be on the test?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do y'all see any areas that y'all think that you really need to study on? Any problem areas that you have that you really don't know that you might need to go over?
Mm, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. So if I ask y'all some of these questions right now, y'all gonna know the answers.
Probably have.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna ask y'all this. What is the actively growing part of the nail?
The cuticle, right? How do you say it?
Nope, that's not it.
Oh, wait. Can you do like answer choice things? 'Cause I don't know what half they're called.
Okay. Um, the lunula, the matrix, the mantle, or the free edge?
The Matrix.
Okay, that's correct. Um, Let me see. An antiseptic is used in manicuring to bleach the nails, treat minor cuts, smooth corrugated nails, or give the nails a high sheen.
Wait, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Okay. An antiseptic is used in manicuring to bleach the nails, treat minor cuts, smooth corrugated nails, or give the nails a high sheen.
To the cut one.
Okay, that's correct. Treat minor cuts. Okay. Um, nerves and blood vessels are found in the nail bed, wall, plate, or grooves.
In the grooves?
Nope.
Damn.
You want to give you the answers again? The answer choices again?
Wait, can you repeat the question and then the answer choices again?
Okay. It says nerves and blood vessels are found in the nail bed, wall, plate, or grooves.
Mm, I have to say
Nerves
the
and
nail
blood
bed.
vessels. Oh, shoot. Oh, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Okay, what you say the answer was?
Nail bed.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, I'm gonna ask a few more questions and then we'll get out since we got started kind of late. Yeah, leave. Ooh, sorry, y'all. I was boiling eggs and forgot to burn my house down. Lord. Okay. Filter in place. Don't forget how bad. Now my house stank. Rotten eggs. Okay. Hold on. Let me have y'all looked over the exam that she had gave y'all in the syllabus.
No, I just saw the email today.
Yeah, me too.
No, the not the one from today, the last one that she sent out with the syllabus one from weeks ago. That one. That we were going over it first.
Oh, the one that was long.
Yeah, it had it had an exam thing in there.
I saw it, but I didn't click on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me see. Manicure syllabus study exam. It was a mock quiz for 75 questions. Um, I'm gonna ask y'all just a few questions off of here. Okay. Why must metal bits be disinfected after each client?
To avoid diseases or cross
Wait,
contamination.
Correct. Cross contamination. To prevent cross contamination. Okay. Who is that, Miss Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay. This one for you, Miss Danica. I'm gonna let you do this one. Okay. Hold on. What is the main benefit of nail extensions?
to protect. the nails?
I mean, that is a good answer, but no. The main benefit of nail extensions. Most women come and get extensions to for what?
I would have thought it would be like to protect their nails or like to
To add. I'm trying to help you out a little bit.
does it to add length to them?
Yep, that's correct. Add length.
Miss Brittany, my answer was better than that one.
But that's the answer. That's the answer though. That's the answer. To add length. Most people get nail because you got to think about if you're doing. I mean, to protect the nail, you could just get an overlay. You don't have to get the extensions, or you could just get a gel or something. You don't have to always get extensions just to protect your nail. So your main benefit for the extensions would be to add length. You.
Mm.
She like, nope, I'm still not messing with it. But there will be your answer. And if there was for state board, there would, yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna ask Miss Andrea one more, and I'm gonna ask you one more, Miss Danica, and then we'll be done. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, Miss Andrea, what type of nail form is reusable?
Bro, I'm over here talking on mute. But the black thing, I forgot what it's called.
You gotta
The
tell me
things
the type of um form it is, like paper, plastic, metal, something like that.
it's the plastic one?
Correct. Plastic or metal
Yeah, okay.
will be the answer for that question. The reusable ones of a nail form is a plastic or a metal one because you can disinfect those. Okay. And then Miss Danica, um, hold on. I just saw it. Okay. What is the purpose of reducing the well area?
Wait, can you say that again?
What is the purpose of removing the well area? Like when you're sketching and etching the nail, the tip on your natural nail. What's the purpose of that?
To like prevent like the like wouldn't it be to like protect something with the ingrown nails, right?
Uh-uh.
What is that
Nope.
one?
For the ingrowns, no, we're talking about the tips, the tip stuff. The I just lost my question. Where it go? Oh, the purpose of reducing the well area. What does that do when you doing nail extensions?
To treat like the chronic how do you say that word?
No, it's not to treat nothing. It helps. I mean, let me see. I'm not trying to give you the answer.
I don't know this one, Miss Brittany.
Okay.
I'm gonna just be honest. I don't.
Okay, Miss Andrea, do you know that one? The purpose of reducing the well area?
Um, I don't know. Someone won't be bulky. I don't know.
That's correct. It's to create a smooth transition.
Okay, okay.
Yep. So that'll be the answer, Miss Danica. To create a smooth transition, you reduce the wear area, when you etch and sketch the nails before applying your acrylic so you can have a smooth transition. So they can all blend together and it can look natural. Okay, do you ladies have any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Well, are we gonna have class Thursday, right?
Yes, y'all have class with Miss Destiny on Thursday. I think it says 6:30. Hold on, let me double check.
It said
Thursday.
6, I think.
6. Yeah, y'all have class at 6 on Thursday. And in the meantime, just be going over those things that I was just telling you about that'll be on your testing. Make sure that you're getting all that knowledge in your head so you'll be ready and you won't have as many nerves as you have. The more you study, don't overdo it, but just brace yourself. And get your study in a little bit at a time, and you'll be fine. If you have any questions, feel free at any time to reach out to me to ask anything you need help on. You need studying. If you need me to help you get a study guide or anything, just let me know, and I can do that for you, ladies. Um, Anything else that I need to let you know, I'll send it in a text or anything. But other than that, you ladies are free to go.